This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger. A few days ago on Test Drive, we featured the fully electric Volvo XC90, a subcompact luxury crossover, coupe kind of thing, that does about 400 kilometers range.
Yeah.
But Victor, what happens if you don't really want to go fully electric and you need space for 7 passengers?
You can pay $20,000 more to get an XC90 Recharge.
And this is the ultimate, coming pretty much fully loaded with the most important feature, the Bowers & Wilkins audio system. But you're cold, I'm freezing. Let's get in the car and take it for a drive and go over everything you need to know if you're in the market for a 3-row mid-size luxury crossover plug-in hybrid.
Let's go.
There we go.
Hey Google, turn on all heated seats.
Got it. Turning on the seat heater.
There we go. Oh, nice and warm. Especially with, like, it's actually minus 11 when I left the house today. It's supposed to feel like minus 20. It's not as cold as our friends over in Alberta. They're dealing with literally minus 50 degree weather right now, which is insane. But Victor, what's powering our little Volvo here?
So, this Volvo is the Recharge version, which means that the plug-in hybrid powertrain from Volvo. It has a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine up front and a electric motor in the back. Why I separate these two to talk about is that it acts as individual systems, essentially. There's no drive shafts connecting the front wheels and the back wheel. The front engine produces 312 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and the rear motor produces 140 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque. Combined, we get a 455 horsepower vehicle along with 523 pound-feet of torque. It's massive numbers here.
Yeah, those are really good numbers. I mean, compared to the BMW X5 that I just drove, I mean, these are really good numbers out of this system here. We're also looking at a 15 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery that's a usable amount of power out of it. Good for about 53 kilometers of pure electric driving. So a little bit less than the BMW from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's rated for 53 kilometers. With our winter here in Canada, I was able to do 43.2 kilometers of city driving and a little bit of highway driving with traffic before it ran out. So I'm pretty impressed with these numbers because clearly Volvo is understating somewhat so that you get somewhat close to the amount that it's rated for.
Yeah, it's good. Now, it's also important to note that, yes, this is called a Recharge, and the C40 that we drove was a Recharge, but the C40 is fully electric. So I'm not quite sure why Volvo is using the same naming for plugins and fully electrics. Super confusing if you're a consumer, because you see Recharge, you think, okay, well, is that a plug-in? Is that a fully electric? So one thing to note there. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice interior here, obviously top notch at the ultimate trim. We've got the Bowers & Wilkins audio system on here, 9-inch infotainment system. Not my favorite. It's pretty limited, but kind of more towards safety, I guess. Yeah, less features, less to keep you distracted by, but having that Google feature, that certainly works. Keep the heated seats going, which is definitely neat on a day like today. And yeah, I mean, like, this is more or less what we've been driving for the last couple of years now. Volvo hasn't really changed the exterior or interior design too much, so you can really go back and watch any of the older videos we've done. And I think 2020 was like the facelift, but it was such a small one that you'd really have to have them parked next to each other to know the difference. But being a passenger in here, it really does feel like any of the other XC90s I've driven, but more power is always good, and a little bit more range is always good too.
Yeah, definitely. In 2022, this version of the Recharge came out as the Recharge Extended Range. However, they've made this just the Recharge now in 2024. And of course, with the battery being a little bigger, you get a little bit more range, which is great for day-to-day use in terms of just short city commutes. What this car doesn't have in the option is the air suspension. We're feeling a little bit of a firmer suspension in this vehicle of this class. It's not bumpy, but no. I would say it's a firm suspension. I do feel like I'm a solid, a mountain on the road. I feel very, very safe, and I feel like the car is very steady, even at high speeds with high wind here in Canada with the winter. The adaptive cruise control makes me feel very safe in terms of its braking response, and generally the car would brake early and then slow you down first, and then it will creep up to the car in front. So that's a good feature to make you feel safe when the car is sort of driving on its own.
Yeah, and that's the key part of Volvo, right? They want it to be a safe experience. They've been saying for years now that I believe 2024 is the year that they don't want any Volvo driver, passenger, anybody in their vehicles to be seriously injured or killed while driving on their vehicles. So they've been going towards making their vehicles as safe as possible. And we again kind of touched on some of the things with the C40 video. Having a rear view camera mirror could help to improve that. Having a rear camera washer could help to improve that. So there's still some areas that Volvo could improve in order to add a little bit more safety to these vehicles. But overall, I mean, if you're comparing this to a Mercedes GLE, BMW X5, even like an Audi Q7, you're definitely in the market for more of a luxury, not so sporty. Like, these are not sport vehicles. Even if you go with the Polestar tuning, it's still not really the same as even a 43 Series or a 53 Series AMG or a BMW M Performance. Volvo's going sort of the same direction that Lincoln does. They want to make a comfortable, easy to drive experience, something that isn't going to cause too many problems as you're driving along. It really is meant to be a pretty simplistic experience, while still having all the luxury features and all that you'd want out of a top-notch vehicle such as this.
That's right. A couple of things that I really, really like about the car is the build quality as well as the materials used. These have Napa leather. This is called blonde color. The exterior of this vehicle is a crystal white. You'll see me talking a few times about crystals this video. with the ultimate package here, we have a crystal shift knob that looks very nice. It's also, I mean,
it's illuminated, so it looks good. It feels good.
Yeah.
It's certainly unique as well. A little different than the one that I've got on the C40 that I'm driving. But yeah, I mean, you're getting a really high level experience out of the interior here. Open pore wood, leather surfaces throughout, and even on this trim, this vehicle, you can get the wool seating that we saw on the C40. So if you don't want animal skin on your vehicle, you can have that as an option. So there are some good things that you can configure on this. I'd say that this is the way that I would take it, just with that 4-corner air suspension. I would add that on for my personal vehicle, but aside from that, it's almost the same way that I would configure it. Maybe not with the white interior. I do like the brown. They have a nice brown that you can get, but maybe even the wool, I found that were really good. Seating comfort, very good. Space in here is very good as well, even for a big guy like myself. And the second and third rows are pretty good as well. You'll see some B-roll now, Victor jumping into the third row, so it is usable to get in there, although the seats do kind of snap back into place.
Yes.
As we were testing, so just keep your feet clear of that when you're putting the seats down, and try to prepare your rear seat passengers for the shock of getting those seats slammed back into place.
That's right. Don't forget, this vehicle is almost 10 years old. It came out in 2015 as a 2016 model year, and we're now in 2024. This car has aged super gracefully. I think it's still very elegant looking from the outside, and the interior also aged very well as well, with this two-tone steering wheel that is a fan favorite in a sense. The seats in white is not necessarily something that you would love to get because it gets dirty over time. But this white and black two-tone steering wheel is something that I really want to have.
Yeah, it does look good.
So I might sacrifice and get the white seats regardless.
There you go. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
And one other thing is that Volvo has recently introduced their EX90.
Yes.
That, according to Volvo, is not a replacement for the XC90. Instead, it will be sold alongside this. So hopefully Volvo will do a big refresh or a brand new model for the XC90 and see some newer technology or newer designs and stuff like that. I enjoy a lot of the EX90's big screen.
Yeah.
They look really cool, and it looks very futuristic, but it's also, the whole package that I want to see a refresh that, by now it's sort of almost overdue from Volvo.
Yeah, so it's definitely due for a refresh. So we're hoping that within the next year or two, we'll see something new from them. And the EX90 is certainly the direction that they're going in. So we'll see if that carries out throughout the whole model lineup. But again, you can check out more of the content that we've done on these vehicles. You can also see everything else that we've done by going through some of the other videos that we've done. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, we certainly invite you to do so. And share this video online to help us build our database here and build our community, because that's the whole point of Test Drive here, is we want want you to be involved. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, and all that, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.